Wow, it really doesn't feel like that long ago I uploaded my first ever YouTube review of the Transformers 1 Voyager Sentinel Prime. And I'm very sorry for the quality of that video. I'm sure it's gotten better since then, I hope anyway. But looking back makes me really excited to circle around and look at Transformers 1 once again. Welcome one and all to the display case. I'm Nate, and today we're looking at Transformers Studio Series Transformers 1, Elita-1, and Starscream. That was a lot of ones. Anyway, on the left side of these boxes, we get some awesome artwork of Elita-1 and Starscream in all their glory. On the front, we get that artwork again with the step counter, some Transformers branding, and some nice artwork of their alt modes as well with that beautiful window. That same artwork wraps around the right side of the box graciously, and you can see there's an Autobot logo and some environmental art of the Decepticon warship that's crashed and the cave they find the Primes in. On the back, we get some nice renders of both bots in their vehicle and robot modes, as well as some screenshots from the movie and a description of what those characters are doing. And I really appreciate it when they include descriptions like this. It makes you feel a little bit closer to the characters of the figures that you're buying, and I wish they included it on other boxes as well, not just Studio Series. Okay, straight off the bat, I will admit I am conflicted with both of these figures. Yes, there is a level of fun factor to be had with both of them, but does fun factor constitute an inherently good figure? I think that the answer to that question kind of varies between the two of these. I can say that both of them carry forward that pretty good depiction of the movie characters that we've been seeing in the Transformers 1 line so far. And I am really grateful that we are getting more characters from this amazing animated movie from Hasbro. Although I do feel that if they are going to start releasing substandard figures in this line, people are going to stop buying them, if you know what I mean. But I could be acting too harsh too early, so let's dive a little further in. The colours and sculpt work on these figures are easy on the eyes. Elita-1 is moulded in this nice pink plastic that mimics her metallic look from the movie, while Starscream has that weird yellowy grey plastic that the rest of the figures have, with some nice pops of blue and red throughout. Both of them also represent their characters' silhouettes pretty well without going too off model, in most cases anyway, and also come with some nice accessories. Just before I get into the accessories, I just wanted to add that these big fin things on the side of Elita-1's arms can actually be removed. They're just held in with a peg and a 5mm port. I managed to get one off and it looks a lot better without it, even though you can't really store it anywhere on her person. Unfortunately though, the other one just wouldn't come off for me. I tried absolutely everything. So if you can get it off, it might help the figures look, even if you have to sort of put them aside. Starscream comes with both of his null rays, which you can plug some blast effects onto. They're a little bit loose, but they hold on there alright. He also comes with two additional accessories that really don't appear in the movie at all outside of his jet mode. They're kind of played off as two little pistol weapons that he can hold in his hands, and you can combine them by putting the blue one on top of the grey one and making like a rifle of some kind that can then plug into one hand. But the good news is that if you don't want him to hold the gun that never appears in the movie, you can plug them directly into his back as part of weapon storage, which I don't mind. Elita-1, on the other hand, comes with a couple more contextual accessories that actually do appear in Transformers 1. First up is that rifle that appears in the movie, which is actually a different sculpt than the previous version that came with Studio Series B127. When you put the two of them together, you can see that obviously the new one is a lighter plastic color, but also it has a lot more detail than the previous one, as well as some slight paint apps down the barrel. The new version also has a hinged handle that allows it to go a little bit back. I'm not really sure why they've included this, but I'm going to assume that it's for some form of posability or storage. So if you do know, feel free to let me know in the comments. Elita's coolest accessory is the jetpack. Now this is the same one that pretty much all the characters use in the movie. And on the back, it's got a whole bunch of tabs that actually allow it to tab into the backs of every single character that uses the jetpack, including Elita, Optimus Prime, and what I'm assuming is going to be compatible with the upcoming Orion packs as well, B-127 or Bumblebee, and even Megatron/D16. It's cool to see a deluxe accessory be compatible with the entire line like this, but I would have loved if they each came with their own. Because now if you want a jetpack for each of them, you're gonna have to buy 4 Elitas. Something else I've come to love about the Transformers 1 subline is that even though they're all deluxes with the exception of Sentinel Prime, they all scale really well with each other, and really accurately to the movie as well. It gives them a lot of visual range, so you don't get Bumblebee being almost the same size as Optimus Prime, even though they're in the same deluxe size class. Elita and Starscream fit very well into this sizing as well, with Sentinel Prime being the Voyager is a bit of an outlier, so he stands quite a bit taller. Now, being deluxe class figures, you can expect the articulation to be a little bit more limited than normal, so we'll bear that in mind going into this. Elita-1 has a hinge joint at the base of her neck and a ball joint at the base of her head. Ball joints in her shoulders that allow for a full range of rotation as well as some movement up and down. She's also got a ball joint in her elbow allowing for 90-degree movement, and it kind of doubles as a bicep rotation. A full 360-degree waist swivel, hips that can move forwards, backwards, and all the way out to the side. Perhaps the tightest thigh swivel I've ever seen. It's so tight that it actually pops out of the joint every time I go to use it. A double knee joint that's used for the transformation, but I'm going to appreciate here anyway. And ball joints for the feet, which can tilt a little bit as well as go forward and back. Starscream is weird. He's kind of better in some ways of articulation, but definitely worse in others. He's got a ball joint at the base of his head that allows for a good amount of tiltage and full rotation. Ball jointed shoulders that allow for 90-degree outwards movement, as well as a little bit of rotation before colliding with his wings. An elbow swivel that allows it to rotate all the way around, as well as an elbow joint that allows it to go a little bit further than 90 degrees, which is appreciated. He's also got no waist swivel whatsoever, which is a bit disappointing. Hips that can go forwards, backwards, and out to the side, just like Elita. A mushroom joint that allows for thigh rotation. A knee joint that can pretty much go up to his chest, which is pretty good, but unfortunately absolutely zero ankle tilt, which is quite frankly just disappointing. There is a hole though right in the middle of Starscream's undercarriage that you can plug a display stand into, allowing him to get into a whole bunch of aerial poses. It doesn't hold very tightly, but it's good enough. So I guess we've been getting some pretty good deluxes lately, because I'm finding myself having to temper my own expectations. These figures can pose, but they can't really pose well. You can get them into a couple of decent enough poses with other figures, but that's probably the best that you're going to get out of them. It's not necessarily a bad thing either. These figures do look good together. In fact, it's one of the most visually distinct lines of all of Studio Series, and I think Transformers as a whole. I do wish that Starscream came with ankle tilts and that Elita came with a hole for a display stand. I just think it would have made them both a lot better. But I guess you get what you're given. Their transformations, though, is definitely what sets them apart. I think the transformation has a big part in deciding whether you like a Transformer or not. And I really enjoyed transforming Starscream, and I absolutely hated transforming Elita-1. Starscream has this really good dynamic where most of the body parts go somewhere, and the backpack kind of folds out nicely to become the top half of the plane, and everything just fits nicely where it's supposed to go. Unfortunately, we do lose the port for the display stand. There's not another one underneath the jet that you can use like some other figures have. And the port at the back is now obscured by the jets and the feet that you can't fit the original display stand into it unless you have one that's really thin. You can, however, sort of balance him on top of a display stand, which is a nice half measure. Elita-1 on the other hand was a nightmare to transform. The tabs don't tab in properly, you're not really sure where the panels are supposed to go because the instructions aren't really clear, and at the end of it all, you're kind of rewarded with this vague looking awkward bike thing, which is her mode in the movie, but I would argue it's not a very good one. The wheels on the bike mode are also really flimsy, they just flap around and fall off whenever they like. I had things falling off halfway through the transformation, including the limbs, the head even fell off at one point. I really didn't have a good time, and I really wanted to like it. Just like when you put them next to each other in bot mode, they look just as good next to each other in vehicle mode. For some reason, the Transformers 1 characters and design language just really perfectly mesh with each other. Each character has this exaggerated look of intense proportional change that really gives them their own identity and brings the line together as a whole. And I think that's where I'm finding value in both Starscream and Elita-1 in how they present as figures. By themselves, they're not very impressive, but you put them next to a couple of other characters from Transformers 1, and all of a sudden, the look starts to come together. I think overall, these two figures don't really add too much to, I guess, themselves as figures. They're not exceptional, they're not even great, but with the other Transformers 1 figures, they become something more. But I do say that with hesitation. I am nervous for the upcoming Transformers 1 figures because I'm scared that they're gonna turn out just like these ones. I really want them to be good because the movie was good, but if not, then the line just might not be worth it. And that's just because it kind of feels like the figures have very little effort put into them. But with effort, I would love to see more characters in the line. Soundwave, Shockwave, the Cone Heads, even the rest of the Primes. That would be amazing. And I can only hope that they're all gonna be good. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you'd love to see more videos, I've got plenty up on my channel. Feel free to subscribe, leave a like, or even a comment with your own thoughts. I look forward to reading them. Thank you again, and we'll catch up soon.